You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, me and Pat are going to ask, are the Bulls overvaluing Alex Caruso? Also, there are rumors of Malcolm Brogdon and possibly Herb Jones coming to the Chicago Bulls. And lastly, why the Bulls have to win the next two games. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. With that said, Pat, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Alex Caruso. So something that we've kind of already talked about that we knew for Bulls fans that they knew, but Jake L. Fisher came out with another article today, just reiterating the fact that the Bulls are still turning away all callers for Alex Caruso, but for them to even be interested, to even entertain a trade, it would have to come via two round picks. Now, in this, he added in that article that the Milwaukee Bucks, now, the language was kind of iffy. He was kind of talking around it. I don't know if the Milwaukee Bucks has actually made a call or they were saying that they want to call on Alex Caruso, but you can talk about that piece if you want to or not, Pat. But like, what do you think about the Bulls holding that value at Alex Caruso at least the minimum two first round picks?
Are they asking too much? Like, I'm not. I'll say this, right? When you look at what some of the trades in the NBA have gone for draft capital wise, I don't feel like you're asking too much for two first round picks for Alex Caruso, because who did we just see get moved for 3 first round picks? And why am I blanking right now? Indiana just traded for him.
Pascal Siakam?
Pascal Siakam. We saw Pascal Siakam get traded for 3 first round picks. And I think many of us view Pascal as a guy who's good player, solid defender, like what he adds to that team. But are we talking about he's leaps and bounds better than Zach LaVine? The part that's better than Zach LaVine, a little bit defensive. Well, a lot of bit defensive. I'm not going to say a little bit defensive. Well, not really, though, because I think Pascal got like a 114 defensive rating this year, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe not this year defensively. But when you look at him, right, like they're similar players and you got 3 for him. I don't think asking for 2 for Alex Caruso is too much value. I think the NBA just does not value lower first round picks anymore, which is weird because we're seeing a lot of teams build themselves up with first round picks. But I guess there's more talent out there, so maybe they feel like we can find talent in other places. We can develop our own talent. We can get early second round picks and be fine. And you can get like 11 of those for a guy now. Like you could, they give away second round picks.
I think it's more so. It's more so about the value in this upcoming draft. So like the 2 of the picks in Pascal Siakam trade were for the 2024 draft, and that draft is looked at as a weaker draft. And I think that's part of this, right? Is that if you're looking to trade for Alex Caruso and one of those picks are going to be in 2024, we need something other than that, because there's not a whole heck of a lot of the top end talent in this draft. It doesn't mean that there still can't be a stud to come out of this draft. It's just that they don't have the ceilings that you have expected in prior drafts. So I think that plays a part into it to a degree as well. But I think on top of that, you also, the Bulls are looking at the value that Alex Caruso has for their team and for any team. Alex Caruso right now, and the reason why I do think it's a reasonable ask from the Bulls is that, one, he's on one of the more reasonable deals per production in the NBA, being a little over $9 million. 2, he's also not expiring, so they get another deal, another year of effective or a reasonable contract for Alex Caruso. And then teams that are going to be interested in Caruso are going to be championship caliber teams. So those first round picks are already going to be in the 20s. So I think when you pile all that on, it makes sense that the Bulls hold that value for Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is the type of player who can go to a team, average 9, 4, and 4, but you in watching the game, you could see how he could win a team a series. So
yeah, no, I think there's a lot of value in having Caruso on your team, and I don't think that the Bulls are asking too much here. I think that if you want it, what's tough is who the Bulls are versus what the Bulls are asking for.
Yeah.
Right. That's really the tough part about this whole conversation, because who the Bulls are is a team that's probably going to hold on to Zach LaVine, a team that's probably going to run 90% of what we've seen back, a team that doesn't seem like they're going to make a lot of drastic changes. So Alex Caruso to that team, you don't see the value that he holds because he's not doing it in meaningful games. Alex Caruso is not going to be playing in a lot of meaningful playoff games with the Chicago Bulls. Why? Because they continue to do things the exact same way. If they ever decide to change their ways, if they ever decide to, maybe we're going to actually go out here and compete and try and make moves to compete and not just stand pat, then maybe you'll see Alex Caruso value. I guess not that it's not looked at it as that way around the league, but I don't think you'll see a lot of takers on that team.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that plays a part into it, of course. Like, it'd be remiss to say that doesn't play a part. And I don't think that the value's too high. I don't, because at the end of the day, too, you got to look at it and say, all right, if you don't move Alex Caruso, then you're still keeping a veteran presence on your team and a player that is a two-way player who said him and Kobe White are the only two players on this team that did exactly what they said they wanted to do in the offseason. Alex Caruso wanted to become more of a three-point threat to add to his defense. He did that, and Kobe White wanted to become more consistent.
I guess the question for me isn't, right, like, I love what AC is bringing to this team, but what are we utilizing it for? What are we utilizing it to gain? I guess, right, we're going to 41 wins, right? Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, like, what are you actually utilizing AC for? It feels like this is a team that's going nowhere. That's why, to me, teams aren't taking a trade value, because they're like, AC is going to see that in 2 years. And guess what? He's still going to be a really good defender in 2 years. His defense is not going to fall off. I'll wait for his contract to end, and then I'll just go scoop him up. Why would I give you 2 first-round picks? I guess if there's a team that maybe loses something major that feels like they're a championship team, like a team that I would say to watch for just because of the lack of depth on the team is maybe a Boston Celtics team. But who the heck do we want off of that team? Well, now they got all the picks.
But see, the thing is, I don't think that teams are I think that if the Bulls wanted to trade Alex Caruso for 2 first-round picks today, if they just wanted to move out, I don't think it'll be trouble. I don't think this is not the Zach LaVine market where I don't think the Bulls can get what they want for Caruso. I just think the Bulls just don't want to trade Alex Caruso, which is fine.
No, we've heard that from the Bulls, that they don't want to move off of AC.
Yeah.
But okay, what do you want to do? I feel like I'm talking to my daughter with what the Bulls want to do, right? Like, my daughter will sit there and she'll go, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to eat dinner. I don't want to sit down. I don't want it. And I'm like, it ain't about what you want to do. What are you gonna do? That's really what it comes down to. What are y'all gonna do? I know what you don't want to do. What are you gonna do so that what you want to do can actually have an impact on this team? Because I love AC. I want AC here. I never want to see AC traded. I hope he retires a Bull, because he seems like one of those players that will go up in the Joakim Noah, Luol Deng type of echelon, where we look at them long term and be like, man, remember AC used to be clamping mud. I loved having him on the team. But you're not doing any of the things that those guys were in a position to do.
That's valid. It's very valid to say that. I mean, I at the end of the day, I think that when the Bulls get to this trade deadline, and even if they don't move Zach, if they don't move DeMar, if they don't move Alex Caruso, this has to be, to me, in my opinion, a trade deadline where the Bulls the actions have to match what they've told us. You told us that you want to be a team that can compete. And while the Bulls lately, since December, have played with a 61% win percentage, so you got to give credit to that. But we're still fighting for a 9th seed.
Yeah.
So if that's what we're going to do, if we're going to be the team to compete, make a move to put us in a better position to compete, whether you're using Lonzo's contract, whether you're using the rest of your mid-level, where you're using the disabled player exception. And that's what I want to see most from the Chicago Bulls in this.
But I think that's what's tough about it, right, is, are you going to be that level of team with those same players in place? At this point, right, like, whether we like it or not, we got to see that there's a difference in play when all 4 of those guys are on the floor. Are you going to move something? Now, not AC. AC's not a part of that, but are you going to move something? And this is just about the value to make AC's impact valuable. AC is a championship level player on a team that won't sniff championship aspirations as long as you keep the same thing together.
They'll sniff it when they play those teams in the regular season.
Well, I mean, I guess we could say that. That's I don't really know what to do with that statement. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's time.
There's nothing you can do with that one. And we're gonna move right along. Oh,
let's move away from that.
Next up, we're gonna be talking about two players that the Bulls are have been rumored to be interested in or could be in the trade market for. They could help along that push. One that doesn't really make sense for me. Maybe both of them don't. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about two of our sponsors. The first one is Grammarly. When it comes to writing, Grammarly is there to support you from start to finish. For over 10 years, Grammarly has been powered by AI technology you can trust to help you across all the places where you write the most. And now Grammarly helps you do even more. With one click, you can easily brainstorm, rewrite, and reply suggestions based on your context and goals so that you can improve productivity for you and your teams. Sorry.
You okay?
Jesus Christ. No, that was not good there. When you're stuck with the writing at work, which I was stuck brain-wise, Grammarly can't help with that. Grammarly can help you get started with ideas, outlines, and even tips. Need to polish your writing? Grammarly can help paraphrase and rewrite to be more concise instantly. Need to get through your emails quicker? Grammarly can help you summarize your emails and provide suggestions on how you can reply in seconds. Start being more productive at work. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to download free today. That's Grammarly.com/podcast. And I got to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors. This is a consistent one, and that's PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries can stay play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, the player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance and policy. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks offers weekly projections that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select players' projections up to 25% to provide even more value. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat. Malcolm Brogdon and Herb Jones. Two names that have recently been mentioned as potential targets for the Chicago Bulls. And I don't know about you, Pat, but hearing Malcolm Brogdon's name mentioned, and don't get me wrong, what is he averaging, like 16 points per game, something like that this season?
Yes.
More of a scoring threat because he's on a Portland team where their second overall pick in Scoot Henderson can't score the basketball to save his life. And then Herb Jones, a player that is a prototypical 3-and-D wing. And I can see him fitting on really any NBA team, but it's just like
the Herb Jones pause was crazy
because it's just like I like both these players individually in silos. I like both these players. Don't get me wrong. If we were to switch Malcolm Brogdon or Javon Carter with Malcolm Brogdon, it would help the Bulls so much. But I just don't see either one of these really being realistic when you look at both the numbers on their contracts and what the Bulls would theoretically have to offer, unless the Bulls are giving up potentially a Dalen Terry or Julian Phillips to get a Herb Jones, who may be a more realized version of what they can become. What do you think, Pat?
What is the biggest issue with Malcolm Brogdon? Like, if this guy's not gonna play a good chunk of games in the season, he's not going to be available for you if you make the playoffs. Like, he's an injury prone player. If you just want to throw some seasoning, some garnish on the pile of crap that we have, okay.
He's missed 10 games so far this season.
Like, I'm cool on Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah. It's not that he can't play either. right? Like I think Malcolm Brogdon,
when he's healthy,
I think he's a heck of a player when he's
Yeah.
healthy. I think he actually is an asset that the Bulls could utilize if he's healthy. I'll go as far as this. I think he's an asset the Bulls could use to stay the trading away of everybody if you really wanted to keep this team together. But I can't count on Malcolm Brogdon to be there any more than I can count on Otto Porter when he was here, any more than I can. I mean, like,
now come on, he's more healthy than Otto Porter. Otto Porter missed 3 games because he got the hiccups. So like it's a little different there.
Listen, it's not. Did he
it's
really
a little
miss
different
3 games because he had the hiccups?
No, that's me. That's me.
I was like, did I miss that injury update? I haven't followed him in a little while. Hey, that sounds terrifying, actually. Like, yo, if you got nonstop hiccups for 3 days, put me out of my misery, bro. You can't sleep. You can't eat. Nah, I'm cool. Anyway, I don't know what it's not to say Malcolm Brogdon can't bring things to the Chicago Bulls. I don't trust him to be healthy, which is an issue we already have with the guys who are currently on the team.
How many seasons me and you've both said you play over 60 games, it's close enough, right? Malcolm Brogdon's been in the league 8 years. How many of those 8 years do you think he's played over 60 games?
3.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's not even like I like Malcolm Brogdon a lot, but
I like him as a player.
He's got to be available on the court.
$22 million you're paying Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem. I'm not paying you. I got a guy I'm already paying $20 million to not be on the court. His dad's wilding out here.
Let's be clear though. He has played 100% more games than Lonzo Ball in 2.5 years. So I mean,
listen. His dad's wilding out here. Lonzo,
LeVar Ball is wilding, bro.
Insane, bro. But hey, bro, you got to have such a strong relationship with your dad and just be like, that just pops. To deal with someone that's crazy, bro. I'm out on Malcolm Brogdon because of the injury concerns. Of course, we got the contract issue, but of course, because of the injury concerns. Unless there's some way that you could get him for where you can include moving Lonzo's contract in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I do it, because at that point it's like, well, I'm moving one hurt player for another player that has potential injury, but I'm not really gaining too much in money to add you to this team. It's basically I'm giving you a roster spot for a spot that nobody's using right now. And then Herb Jones, I'm not gonna lie, Herb Jones is a name that excites me, but it doesn't address a need that the Bulls have right now to me.
Some 3-point shooting and defense on the wing.
Some 3-point shooting is the problem for me. It's like he's a 3-and-D player with kind of the 3 part. Yeah, I mean, like that. Like I would love Herb Jones with Kobe White. That's immediately what I thought of.
That's exactly what my mind went to as well.
Yeah,
Herb Jones out there with Kobe White, I can rock with that.
I would love to see that. But I mean, Herb Jones is as a defender, I think he adds something that the Bulls don't have, maybe down low. Somebody who actually could switch on a pick and roll and can actually stay with the guy that he's guarding. I mean, what's he, 10 points a game this year, something like that? I'd be willing to bet on the upside of Herb Jones. I just wonder what we'd give up for Herb Jones.
Yeah, his contract's I think $12 million, so it's not like it's just an easily matched contract either. I mean, you could match $12 million.
We could match $12 million. I don't think we'd have that much trouble matching $12 million. But
and then I mean, he is under effective, so you would have him locked into the 2026-2027 season, and at the most he's making 14.8. That's not bad.
If you can get Herb Jones, I would love to get Herb Jones, but I'm not right. I still feel like what the Bulls need in a shooter, he's not going to provide that. He's 3-and-D, but like I said, the 3 is like, what's he taking? 3 a game?
He's taking 3.5 3-pointers a game, hitting it basically 40% clip.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's just it's what I would expect for a player of his stature. He's rolling to the basket a lot. He's downhill. He's attacking the rim a lot. That's what I would want Herb Jones to come here and do.
He's really not. So he's taking a total of 7 shots per game, and almost 5 of the half of those are 3-point shots. So
what's he? Is he not? Oh, he's not starting anymore, right down there.
No, he started every game.
Is he still starting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued by Herb Jones. I wouldn't be out on him. I'm just.
So would you be willing to give up if it came down to let's say they're willing to take Javon because that matches half of it, and then they do want a Dalen Terry and maybe a second? Would you be willing to give that for Herb Jones? That's not the rumor deal. There was no framework of a deal that was presented in this rumor, but would that entice you on a Herb Jones?
Say it again. So Dalen Terry gone, but
Dalen Terry gone. Javon Carter. Matter of fact, let's not, because Dalen Terry is kind of easy. Let's say if it came down to it was Julian Phillips, who we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of, but does have a lot of upside.
Gone.
Okay.
I'd be like, it's proven. Herb Jones, 10 points a game on what, 49%
shooting. Yep.
Yeah, that's proven. That's exactly something that I can utilize off of my bench or in the starting lineup, one or the other. Tell you what, gives you a heck of a lot more consistency on the defensive end than I think we've seen from P. Will for a good chunk of this season. I'm cool with that.
Okay,
I'd be cool with that. I mean, like, easily. And yeah, there's some upside with Julian Phillips, but unless you think he's gonna turn into freaking Jordan Poole out here, like, come on, that's not even. We're good. I
feel you. And just to kind of throw this, I know we're ending this. The reason why the Herb Jones speculation is there is that the New Orleans Pelicans salary cap is shooting up, and they have other players that they are looking to extend. And so the speculation is there because they may be looking to move off Herb Jones to sign some of the other guys who are going to be pending. That's why the rookie contracts would be enticing for them.
They feel like Herb Jones is replaceable, basically.
Yeah.
You can find another Herb Jones.
Yeah.
Which, listen, I'll say this: if you can continue to develop Herb Jones, right? Because Herb is he's also on the team with a lot of forwards.
Brandon Ingram is starting at shooting guard for that.
You know what I mean? He's on a team with a lot of forwards. So if you could, I would say maybe look at the upside of Herb Jones, and if you could develop a little bit more of a shooting stroke with him, maybe you could see a Bobby Portis great value version out of him. I would be intrigued to see if you could develop him to that point. But that comes into player development, and guess what? We have not seen a lot of for the last 3 years.
Well, we got our player development department now, though. So.
I'm just saying. Now Herb Jones also shorter, so you know what I mean. But he's on the team with a lot of forwards. Hey, before we get into this final topic, where we got to talk about the Bulls' next two games. It's going to be an interesting next two games. Do got to tell you guys about Hungryroot. Sorry for our Australian listeners. We were made aware of what that means over there. But Hungryroot is the easiest way to get fresh, high-quality food delivered to your door. They've got healthy groceries and simple recipes all in one place. Take a fun short quiz, and Hungryroot will get to know you, your goals, and how you like to eat. They'll ask what flavors you like, which kitchen appliances you use, and more. And then they'll keep your needs and preference top of mind and start building your cart with delicious recipes and all your grocery needs for the next week. Hungryroot will recommend recipes and groceries based on your taste. Take their suggestions or choose anything you want. They've got fresh produce, high-quality meat, and seafood pantry staples, healthy snacks and sweets, and much more. Hungryroot goes beyond your weekly grocery haul with thousands of easy recipes that actually put groceries to good use before they get forgotten in the back of your fridge. I'm not gonna lie, we grocery shop all the time, and there's sometimes where we just pull something out the back of the fridge and be like, we completely forgot we were going to cook salmon on Tuesday. It is now 3 Tuesdays from then. Why is this all the way in the back? Very small refrigerator. We gotta it's specific. So like if you put stuff in the back, you don't see it. Yeah, it's just gone. It's just you don't see it. So we keep all the meats and stuff to the front. So right now, Hungryroot is offering Locked On NBA channel listeners or NBA Bulls Locked. Right now, Hungryroot is offering Locked On Bulls listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. You heard me right. Free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/lockedon to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/lockedon. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
Y'all heard Pat. Meats in the front.
Meats in the front, dog.
That's crazy.
If we're being honest. Just kind of how genetically it's made up.
Just stop.
Hey,
Stop.
now our Australian listeners are so confused.
I'm really trying to save Pat's job out here, y'all. Like, I'm trying my best, man.
At this point, I'm having a good time. I'm on my RG3 tour right now. RG3's RG3 be wilding. I listen to games that don't matter just to hear what RG3 is gonna say about somebody's
He really
name.
does not care, bro. He really, truly does not care.
There's a backup quarterback named Mike Orgy, and they were trying so hard not to say his last name because he was like the 4th string quarterback. Everybody else got hurt. He comes in. He scored 6 touchdowns in his time in the game.
Shout out to him.
Bro,
shout out to Mike Orgy.
On the 6th touchdown, he ran it in. RG3 said, well, gotta say it, guys. There's an orgy in the end zone. I love RG3. He's my favorite personality on play-by-play by far.
Funny. With that said, bro, we got 2 games left up on the docket, man. For this week, we got games against the Los Angeles Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers, bro. How do you feel about these games? Are these must-win games for the Chicago Bulls?
I mean, at this point, every game's kind of like, it's not every game is must-win. Must-win in this early in the season is stupid because we've seen teams that it looked like we're completely out of it, and in the second half, they get hot, right? And all of a sudden, they're in the, I mean, heck, Miami last year. Yep. Miami literally had a hot 2 weeks going into the playoffs. Like, I guess, are these must-win games for you to finish out the week? Well, yeah. Are these must-win games for the future of your season? No, because we've still got the same questions on this season. This season doesn't mean anything to me until we figure out what the heck we're doing. Are we standing pat? Are we trading people? Now, as you go into this Lakers game and you go into this Blazers game, I think these are 2 very winnable games that put you in a much better position. Bulls right now, 3 games below 500. This gets you 1 game below 500. I would like to see them finally start to climb their way near that mountain. And the one thing that we have seen is the Bulls really haven't lost multiple games in a row over the last couple of months. There's been a 1 game down, we're going to win 2. 1 game down, we're going to win 2. That's the recipe for you to have a good season if you go 2 for 1 the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to see more. I'd like to see something different here. And I guess not even different. I'd like to have answers. At least like if once we know what the heck this team is going to be, then we can go, all right, are we going to the playoffs or not?
We don't have the answer, Sway.
You don't have the answer, Sway.
Here's the thing, like I get it, and we have this thing as like
it was so Kanye.
Bro, it's Kanye. We have this thing as Bulls fans where we are like this 500 thing that everybody's talking about. Can we get back to 500? How long has it been since we've been above 500? And I get it. Like these are 2 games against 2 teams that are struggling in different ways. And I would love to see, like I always want to see the Bulls get a win, but to call things must win, I get it. We're over halfway through the season now, but like it don't really start being must wins until after the All-Star break. But you still want to get these games where you can, and you don't want to see yourself lose against an inferior opponent, especially not the Portland Trail Blazers. Let's not lose against it. Can we avoid losing against the Portland Trail Blazers, please?
Yeah, I think here's the thing too, right? You're coming up against 2 teams that have been in a lot of turmoil this season. I mean, like the Lakers, nobody has answers on what the heck they are, and Portland's dog water. What I will say is, to go back into our last topic, maybe we leave Portland with Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen.
No, not. They just say, Zach, just stay here. We stay right here.
Stay here, Zach.
Stay
Don't
right
worry
here.
about it. It's not you, it's us.
It's gonna be DeMar. They're gonna say, "Look, it's Kyle Lowry," and then they're gonna grab Malcolm Brogdon and just run out the building.
That's actually pretty hilarious, but. I listen, I wish I could sit here and tell you that this Bulls team is going to come in, they're going to take care of business, they're going to get it done. But the fact of the matter is that this is still a team that has its own struggles. And one of those struggles are playing down the competition. And one thing I hope the Bulls don't do more than anything is don't come into these 2 games. Well, I don't think they're going to do it against the Lakers. It is the Lakers that got LeBron on that team, but especially against the Portland Trail Blazers, don't come into that Sisyphus and just leave it there. Like, just don't do that, man.
LeBron may not play, which is also
they did say that LeBron I think AD's out in this game as well, right?
Yeah.
Isn't AD out too?
AD may not play as well. I don't know if they've confirmed that he's out, but I know there's a may not for both of them. I love Alex Caruso's comment on it. He just basically went, what he's doing at the age that he's at is amazing, and if he doesn't play, that's fine too. That's kind of just how at this point you just look at it as I think the game's winnable either way. How the Bulls played versus Phoenix tells me how the Bulls can play. Even with them losing, right? Like Phoenix came back and absolutely dominated. Phoenix was down, I want to say 19 tonight at one point early on in the game. And by the end of the game, they were winning. Like, so they're a team that can come back from a deficit no matter what. But how we've seen this Bulls team play over the last month and a half, you do have to look at it and go, I think that they can come out and compete with anybody. And what I will say is when, unfortunately, Zach LaVine is not on the floor, usually that play down to the competition doesn't set in as much because I don't know if it almost seems like they don't, like they think of themselves as the team that they are. Like, hey, we're not a good enough team without Zach to just go out here and cakewalk these guys.
I can agree with that.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bulls do. I would say we go 2-0 over our next two and start the week off right.
Let's hope so. Let's get these dubs.
Big dubs, man. Big dubs. I need to play some victory music over here. By the way, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Watch out for Sisyphus out there. Stacey King.
Pat the Designer's actually changed his username on everything to meet to the front. So y'all make sure y'all follow it. You guys
MEET.
You guys can follow me
in the description. It just says DMs open.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. It's been Locked On Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Meat to the front is crazy.
Meat to the front is wild.
Shout out Hungry.